Hi, I'm Rick Stivers and I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today we're going to be working on this Shimano B-MAG 1000 bait caster. We're going to take it apart, service it. There's no problems with it. As far as I know, it works just fine. It's been sitting for a lot of years, but as far as I know, there's not any problems with it. Drag works. Go ahead and clip this off. Spins up just fine. Well, there we go. Magnetic drag on the one side. Rotates fine. Interesting. We might need to work on that. This dial on the side doesn't correspond to this, so somehow that's on there wrong. So that's something we need to take care of, is fixing that, get that installed properly. Okay, we're going to install it so that it's in its maximum configuration right here. Right now the pointer is over here at 50 and it needs to be over here. Alright, we'll fix that while we're in there. So we're going to start off by removing the handle. I'm going to start this video out showing you this catastrophe right here, and then we're going to clean it all up. But what you're going to see is a video where I go and take this all apart and I get it all back together, and I'm just pretty much done with it. And I look down and I find this screw laying on my plate. And I puzzle in my head and I puzzle in my head and I puzzle in my head. I don't remember taking that screw out. I don't know where in the world in this reel that screw fits. I don't know what in the world is going on. And I puzzle and I puzzle and I pull it all apart and I go through the schematics and I look for this screw, and nowhere in the schematic can I find this screw. And then I suddenly remember, hey, earlier today I worked on a different reel. Is it possible that that's from that reel? Well, guess what? It is. I worked on this reel today prior to taking it to go fishing, and if you look, right there, you will see the hole where this screw belongs. Now I could change video and, through the modern miracles of things, show you or take all that out as though I never did it. But then you wouldn't learn anything from my mistake. So instead, I'm showing you right at the beginning of this video what I've done, how I made a mistake, and what you can do to make sure you don't make the same mistake. And that is, every time you get done, scan all of your work area, make sure that you've missed nothing. Make sure that everything is as it is, and before you start a new project, make sure that everything is cleaned up and ready to go, which is what I usually do. But today I wanted to go fishing, so I jumped in and quickly threw this one together. This one belonged to my stepfather, who passed a few years ago, and I really wanted to take it fishing today. And so I came in, did a quick cleanup on it, put some new line, and went fishing. And I did not pay attention to what I was doing. So from that, we're going to skip right on back to the beginning of how all this took place. And then I'm gonna, when we get back to this point, I'm gonna run all this in fast motion as I throw all of this back together. All right? So just wanted you to know I'm certainly not perfect at what I do. We all make mistakes, and hopefully we learn from those mistakes. We're going to remove this nut, I believe. Now let's just go ahead this way. With that off, we're going to remove the handle. Let's get this bag out of the way. Okay, then we've got our tension washer here. We're going to take that off, and we are going to remove our star knob. Okay, we've got all that off, and we're ready to remove 4 screws. All right, I'm going to keep my thumb on this and remove the screws. Got 2 of them out, 3 of them. That's all 4. And all 4 are identical. All right, now notice that this is spring loaded. Okay, that's your yoke springs that are pushing it up. We're going to lift this up. Slide the cover off. If you flip that over, you'll see that there's nothing there that's serviceable except for the bearing. And this is where people start to get excited, because when we took this off, part of it has popped apart. All right? And they're not going to know where it goes back together, and we're going to show them. Okay? First thing we're going to do is remove these 2 springs. These are your yoke springs. And then we're going to remove the yoke. Yeah, I thought we were. Okay, that's not going to happen. So we're going to remove the main gear. We're going to set it down. Okay, notice there's a washer underneath here, and there's this plate. Okay, here's another piece that has come off from where it sits, because this post right here came out with it. This post is what holds that anti-reverse dog right there. So we're going to put that back. Now, before anything else can fall apart or come apart, we're going to take a really close-up view of this. All right. I'm going to add some extra light, hopefully, to the situation so that it can be seen better. Now the part that I said fell out, that's this post right here with this spring. Okay, this post should be in that hole right there, holding that spring. Okay, but when I took this cover off, it popped up out of the hole. If you didn't know where it goes, I can see where you would start to panic. The other thing that came out was this post right here. Let me get a pointer. This post right here came out and stayed in the side case, and when that happened, your shift dog, your anti-reverse dog popped out and slid over from where it belonged. So knowing where these pieces are and what they are and where they go really can help. So we're going to go ahead and take this yoke off, or try to. There we go. Here comes the yoke. Now look at the way, get it in the picture. Look at the way that yoke goes. This is your pinion gear. Okay, this came off just like this. So see this notch in here? That notch coincides down in here to the post on the spool. So that's the direction that's got to go back in. Also, if you look on the back side back here, see these 2 ramps? Get them in the picture. See these 2 ramps right here? One on this side, one on this side. those ramps slide on these ramps right here. Okay, so they have to go on the downside so they can slide on that ramp when this button is pushed in and out. Now we're going to continue to take this apart. We're going to come over here. We're going to slide the, this is your reset cog right here. Let's pop it up and out of there. Okay, that's your anti-reverse dog right there that comes with it. It's a friction fit. All right, we're going to slide that up. Now, underneath here, this is your main gear post. You've got two screws here that are holding this in place. So in order to take this off to get to the bearing, you have to take those two screws. So we're going to go ahead and take those out. That should allow that to spin freely. That's good. Now, I don't see a reason that you would need to take this off except to do a little bit of cleaning. And I think pretty much any cleaning that you would need to do can be done on it right where it's at. I use a degreaser to get in there, and then a light brush, a bristle brush to get in and clean. Always be careful because you never know if you're going to knock a spring off. That's why you want to try to take pictures and see what you got before you go taking it apart too far. Preferably you can get some references and find out how all this goes. The part that's going to ride on that is this reverse dog. And it fits on a pin. It goes right there. And the reverse dog is a friction fit. So it slides onto this cog and then has to go onto the post at the same time. So you kind of got to marry the two up together when they go on, so they can go down together like that. Now what's going to happen is it rotates, the cog stays in place, but as soon as you start to reverse, the friction pulls that down and locks it in place. Next, you have this keyed washer that fits down onto there, and if it's not fitting right, it won't go. Okay, so the next piece in is going to be this lower washer. Wow. And kind of glued itself in. This washer has kind of glued itself to the metal washer. So there you go, get them separated. Clean off all the old grease and dirt. From that washer. Okay, because it's going to be going back into here. Now on the other side of this is another set, just like that one. Well, no, it's not just like. This one has a fiber washer, and I've got to be very careful because that looks like it wants to tear up. All right, we're going to leave that in place, I think. I don't want to break it. Let's go something a little thinner. There we go. It's moving. There we go. That got it out. Thought about leaving it in place. The old adage, do no harm, is pretty important, but because it was stuck to the surface, it kind of needed to come out. Okay. Now we'll clean the main gear on both sides. And it is not the same on each side. The bottom side used the dark washer, the heavy washer, and the top side used the light washer. And we're going to put some drag washer grease on here. Put a little bit on each side. We want to kind of dab off the excess because we don't want it going in with a whole lot of grease. That's the one for the top. This is the one for the bottom. And do the same thing for this one. Okay, dark one goes on the bottom. Then goes the washer, keyed washer. All right, flip it over. On this side goes the other one. White. Notice the large indentation. That's where the white one goes. Okay, once you've got your cog in, reinstalled with your anti-reverse dog in, and we've got this washer in, now we can come back and put your yoke and your pinion gear back in. Now, we've looked at the pinion gear. Pinion gear looks good. Let's go ahead and grease it up. Inspect it. It looks, make sure there's no cracks or flat spots. And I've got it in upside down. All right. And remember that the slotted portion goes down. Slip that on. Slide it onto the post. Now we're ready to reinstall this gear that we've assembled with the drag washers. Okay, slide it down, get it to fit in. You got to get it to mesh with all the gears. There we go. We've got it to mesh with this one, this one. Now we're ready to install the round washer, followed up by the tension washer, which is keyed. Followed up by the collar. With all of those installed, now let's come back and add some grease to the gear. You don't have to have it on every single tooth because it's going to work its way around. Next thing we want to add a little bit of lubricant to are these ramps for the yoke. Make sure this post stays in. As a matter of fact, when you push in this to test it, make sure to hold your finger on that just to make sure that it does what it's supposed to do. Then when you rotate, see how the button comes back up? That's where that cog underneath is hitting on this ramp. Okay, hold the spring down, push it in. Okay, everything locks up. When that happens, if you'll notice right here, the pinion gear comes up. When you rotate it, it comes back out. The pinion gear is going to drop down. The springs will cause that to happen. Right now the springs aren't in. Okay, let's do it. And I'll put my thumb on top of it to act as a spring. Okay, pinion gear is separated. See that it's no longer moving the spool. Spool separated. When you rotate this, boom, it kicks the button back out. Now the spool will rotate. Except it's trying to, but the drag washers are now super loose because they're not tightened down. But that's how that works in there. Okay, the ramps push up the yoke lifts up the pinion gear. The pinion gear separates from the spool. Everything's fine. And then the anti-reverse is this dog right here. Right here, the anti-reverse. When you try to go backwards, that engages. So, we are ready at this point to put our two springs back on. on here. We're going to look at this gear, or sorry, bearing, and make sure that it rotates. And it does. Once you verified that it does, go ahead and put a few drops of oil on that bearing. Spin it around a little bit. Oh, now I pushed it all the way out. Since it's out, I might as well spin it. Okay, hold the center, spin the outside, and let's snap it back into the case. There we go, like so. Now we're ready to slide the case back together. Not missing anything, right? No. Okay, slide it down. The springs are in place. You can tell that. Nope, something's not right. There we go. Okay, everything snaps down. See that the springs actually push back out on it. They're holding the tension on it. Now you can come back, put these screws back in. With those installed, you can now reinstall your drag knob. Make sure that you put it on straight and don't cross thread it. Okay. With that installed, now you've got this tension washer. And if this tension washer is anything like this one, it has been cranked to its max on numerous occasions, it appears. And so what you can do is you can go back and add a little bit of the bends back in it again, just to give it that little bit of tension that it needs. Its purpose in life is to keep the star adjuster from vibrating loose. Now you've got a good 1/8 of an inch there of tension, so that's good. Put your handle back on, tighten your knob down. Adjust it so that the knob will line up with the holes so that you can put your cap screw back in. And I went just a hair too far. There we go. It's got that hole lined up. You can look right through it and see if it's lined up properly or not. Alright, with that done, now you can do a quick ops check to make sure things are working up to this point. Okay, the spool should be loose. There we go. You should have drag. We got good drag. We got really good drag. Okay, loosen it up a little bit. Loosen it up some more. There we go. Okay, drag's working. All right, now we're going to concentrate on this opposite side over here where the knob isn't set up right. Let's see if we can figure out what's wrong with that. So we've got 4 screws on this side to take out. Okay, there's a spring on this knob. Okay, well, no, we've only got 2 positions it can be in. So it must be in the wrong one of 2 positions. Let's try it. Okay, I'll loosen that up. We'll set this off. We're going to pull this up. We're going to rotate it to here and snap it back down. Now, let's see if that will allow or not. Yes. There's our max this way. There we go. That's the proper position for that to be in. Okay, with those screws out, wow, there's quite the magnet. So those are rare earth magnets apparently inside there. And what we want to do is we're going to clean this right here on this spool. Clean this end of it because it looks like it's been a long time since anybody's been in there. We're going to clean this end. Okay. And we are going to put a drop of oil in this side. Okay. Now this is not going to, there we go. Alright, with that done, we can clean the spool on this side. And we're going to put a light coating of oil on there, light coating of oil on this side, and then we're going to gently and carefully slide it back into the case. And you got to watch the line that it doesn't get trapped, which it has. It's trapped currently. I got to get it up and out of there so that it's not trapped in the side of the spool, because that can bind things up just as badly. Alright. Then we're ready to put this side back on. And these are quite some hefty magnets if you watch. It sticks it right to my metal pan. Alright. Okay, now like I said before, there's two different points on here. And you have to get it in the right one or your mag set is not going to work properly. Alright? So if you look, you've got this one here, which is where it was set, and this one over here, which is where it currently is set. And why there's two different settings, I have no idea. It's probably something in the owner's manual tells you can do that. But if you do, it definitely throws the rest of it off. So as far as the setting the knob. Oh, we ain't ready to put that on yet. We have to put in this screw. And this screw on the other side. That will hold in the mag assembly and spool. Put that in place. Okay, these two pins are spring loaded, which is why this keeps springing back up. Okay, put that in place. We're going to put the cover back on. Don't force anything, but when it's properly lined up, everything should fit. Okay, two of them are different. Ooh, where's this guy go? I'm going to pause for just a second in this fast forward and show you this cover has got 3 machine screws. They go here, here, and here. And this one up here is a screw that screws into the graphite body. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the spool gear. Your line retrieve pawl is right there, and if it's magnetic, we're going to take it out. And it is not magnetic. So, what we're going to do is see if we can tap it out. There it goes. Now the reason you want that out is because you want to examine the teeth on that pawl. And you want to be able to clean off any dirt and grease that's caked up along the pawl. This one is starting to show some signs of wear. It's got some usage on it, but it's certainly not ground down by any means. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean this out. I have found the best way for me to do that is put some WD-40 in it and take a long bristled brush and just clean the gear. Rotate it a little bit so that it spins and clean it some more. Rotate it some more, looking for any dirty spots. Once you're sure that you've got it clean, there's no trapped gravel, sand, or anything else, wipe it out as best you can. Clean down inside the pawl. Come back, add a few drops of oil to that gear. Put a drop of oil down where the pawl goes, and then reinsert your pawl. And then rotate it to make sure that it's in. Once you're sure that it's properly seated, then go ahead. Oh, here's one that got me one time. See this little washer right here? That little washer fell out of this cap right here. That provides the proper tension on your pawl. They don't all have it, but if yours has it, you best put it in there, or it won't take long before your pawl wears out. Okay, set it inside, get it in there, lined up. There we go, down in the hole. And then, come back and put your cap back on. Be careful with this cap, it's plastic. And if you tighten it too much, it will snap. Okay, just gently snug it up. Make sure it's functional. And there you have it. So, there we have the Shimano B-MAG 1000 set up, cleaned up, and ready to go fishing. If you like what you saw, by all means hit the like button. If you dislike it, hey, under this circumstance, I can understand why I made a lot of mistakes on this one. Oh, one last thing. Go ahead and put a drop of oil down each of the handles. Spin them around. They may be moving freely now, but in order to keep them moving freely, you want to keep them well lubricated. All right, there you go. So that's it. The Shimano B-MAG 1000.